yet. Up to wait for the so I'm not exactly feeling well. I'm hungry here. Exactly.
I want to greet my sister here. How are you? You well? It's good to see you too. All right?
Yes, I was fasting.
Yes, we're doing fasting.
How is it going?
Okay, you know me, I'm used to it. And even before, without Ramadan, every Monday and Thursday, most times I fast. Well, to me, actually.
So that's a good practice.
Yeah, it's very healthy. I was reading a book on Obama the other day. You know, he fasts 1 day a week.
I have a friend that
Full day and play a dry fast like this. He doesn't eat, and the next meal is his dinner the following day. That's what he does. It's very healthy.
But for me on water. On water.
Start with water first.
Yes, yes.
Keep water. But the problem with water is when you have water that's dry. So, yeah, I know. I can't survive any longer.
And if you are taking any medication,
sitting like it's separatists.
I know. How are you? What's wrong?
No, I can't sit there. So there should be maybe Kenya.
She appointed me.
No, that one could be either Kenya. Not decided.
One of those Kenyans from or Tanzania. We don't have Tanzania now. We must recruit. Oh, yes, chairman.
Prayer.
Almighty God, who in your wisdom and goodness has appointed the officers of rulers and of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society, good of all human lives upon it, and the just government of its people, we beseech you to look with your abundant favor upon us, your servants, whom you have entrusted with the performance of such important trust in this community. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we may treat and consider all matters that shall come under our attention and deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of this region and of those whose interest you have committed to us. Amen.
We start with item number 1 on the order paper, administration of oath.
Honorable members, I rise to notify you that the new cabinet minister from the United Republic of Tanzania is present and would like to take his seat in this house. Honorable Professor Palamagamba J. Kabudi, MP, was appointed as Minister for Foreign Affairs and East African Cooperation by His Excellency Dr. John Pombe Joseph Magufuli, the President of the United Republic of Tanzania, and his name was forwarded to the East African Legislative Assembly by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and East African Cooperation. However, in accordance with Rule 5, Sub-Rule 4 of the Rules of Procedure of this Assembly, he cannot sit or participate in the proceedings of the House until he takes the oath or affirmation of allegiance to the treaty as a member of the Assembly. Rule 5, Sub-Rule 5 enables a new member to take oath and it prescribes the procedure. The Rule 5, Sub-Rule 5 specifically states that, I quote, when a member first attempts to take his or her seat other than at the first sitting of a new house, or he or she shall be brought to the table by two members and presented by them to the Speaker, who shall then administer the oath or affirmation of allegiance to him or her. End of quote. I therefore request any two members of the House who know the new member to present him to the Speaker to enable him to take the oath.
We proceed to item.
Before you proceed, congratulations, Professor Kabudi. And thank you, members, and particularly honorable ministers, for guiding him to take his seat in this assembly. Honorable members, for me, it is a particular honor because it is a reunion. Professor Kabudi was my professor when I was a student. So for myself and Dr. Ndumbaro, we are back in class. And there is one thing that the professor may not remember, but myself and Dr. Ndumbaro remember very well. We came to join the university many years after Professor Kabudi had graduated and was already a professor in the faculty. But we knew him immediately we joined, even before we met him, because Professor Kabudi, since the Faculty of Law of the University of Dar es Salaam was established more than 50 years ago, still holds a record of a best student. No one has ever matched his score. So one thing he may not know is that when we went to look for our results at the end of the term, we would ask each other, how many Kabudis are there? I mean, how many had A score? So Professor A score at that faculty is known as Kabudi. So if someone told me we have one Kabudi, then it means there is an A somewhere in that class, which was also not very common. So it's an honor and a privilege to have you in the assembly, and for me particularly, it's an honor that I'm meeting you again in this capacity. Thank you very much. I wish you well as a member of this assembly. And I understand that the professor might be leaving earlier. May I make it clear to him that anytime he wants to make his maiden speech, then he can let me know and I can interrupt business. Thank you. You wanted to say something now? Please do.
Right Honourable Speaker, does it work? Right Honourable Speaker of the East African Legislative Assembly, Honourable Martin Goga, Honourable members of the East African Community Council of Ministers present, Honourable members of the 4th East African Legislative Assembly, Mr. Speaker, sir, indeed, today I am speechless. It is with profound gratitude to His Excellency, the President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Dr. John Pombe Joseph Magufuli, for appointing me to be a Minister for Foreign Affairs and the East African Community of the United Republic of Tanzania, which has accorded me this honor of being a member of the East African Legislative Assembly. And this being my first day in this assembly since my appointment as a minister, and now having been sworn in as part of you, indeed, to assure you that I'll spend most of my time in this office to spearhead the East African integration. Be sure that to me and people of my generation, the East African integration means a lot than you might have expect, especially taking into account some of our public statements, which are made not because we don't believe in the integration, but we need this integration to endure. The East African integration is not a matter of choice. It's a matter of necessity. Necessitated by geography, necessitated by culture, but also necessitated by the geopolitics, which means we have no other alternative but to strengthen the East African integration. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me also to thank and commend my predecessor, who was also my secondary school teacher, Honorable Dr. Augustine Mahiga, for the foundation he has set in furthering the objectives of the East African community, not only at the international level, but also at the regional level. I am challenged to meet his standards, which he has set during his time as an ex-official member of this House. Mr. Speaker, sir, one of the positions or offices I craved for when I was young in the 60s was to be a member of the East African Legislative Assembly. I liked debate, and I was very much impressed by the then young members of the East African Legislative Assembly, and one of them being Benjamin William Mkapa. His English, his logic of argument, his humor made me one day want to be a member of the East African Legislative Assembly. And when in 1977 the East African community collapsed, my dream also ended. But after the formation of the new EAC, I did not expect one day I'll be in this position. Politics was not one of the things I wanted to do, and as you have well pointed out, I was much more married to academics. But God knows than what we know, and today I'm here. So let me assure you, Mr. Speaker, sir, that one, I feel much more honored now to serve under you. I'm no longer your professor, you are now my speaker. So I now know my limits and I know my position. And I will respect it. Equally, as always remind Dr. Ndumbaro that you are no longer my student. You are now my deputy minister, which means I must take advice and counsel from you. But I know, under you, the House is in good hands of a capable speaker, of a speaker who knows this region perhaps more than us. Born and raised in Tanzania, educated in Tanzania, but now back in Rwanda. So let me assure you, Mr. Speaker, you will have my utmost cooperation, but you know also that I will abide to your rules, to your decisions, and the rulings, whatever you make them. Mr. Speaker, sir, we in Tanzania acknowledge the fact that key to greater prosperity lies in working together, especially in this era where regional integration is no longer, as I said, a matter of choice, is a matter of necessity. So, wherever we intervene, please understand, our intention is to make this community endure more years. 10 years ago, I was part of those people who were at the stadium, Aman Stadium here, Aman Stadium, Stadium here in Arusha, celebrating 10 years of the East African community. To many young people, we are surprised why we were so emotional. We were emotional because this community had passed 10 years. The old community survived only for 10 years. So marking 10 years for us was a very big thing. And this year, marking 20 years is even a bigger thing. And we've been able to survive for 20 years because we have allowed this community to exercise pragmatism and flexibility without abrogating the basic principles of the establishment of the community. So, my fellow members of this assembly, let us know we have a big responsibility to the people of East Africa to make sure this community endures another 20 years. And we will only do this if we abide to the principles of the treaty that this is a people-centered community. And I'm humbled that I saw the first community. I was part of the negotiation of the treaty which established this community. I have been part of the negotiations of the customs union. I have been part of the negotiations of the common market. And I have been in the two committees formed with the summit on the question of federation, until where we agreed that because of pragmatism and flexibility, let us think first of confederation before federation. And let me assure you, as a student in Europe, of the European Union, we have done more than Europe has done since 1956 when they started the integration. One thing which we have avoided, and especially when we were negotiating the East African Common Market, was the opt-out protocol. We said it is better, Mr. Speaker, sir, we debate and agree to exclude in the common market issues which are contentious than to insist them to be in the protocol and then force one member to sign an opt-out protocol. The United Kingdom signed many opt-out protocols to the extent that there were no more. Now it is exiting. Equally Denmark. So by avoiding signing protocols with opt-out protocols is what we should all strive. And we can only achieve that by pragmatism and flexibility, knowing that we are members of one family and there is no other family but this family. Mr. Speaker, sir, I should not turn this session into my session, but once again to thank you very much for the big honor that you have given me, but also to assure you, to assure my fellow members of the Council of Ministers, but to all members of the East African Legislative Assembly, that I'm part of you and I'll be with you and we'll work together. And at the end of our term, we'll have something together to tell the people of East Africa that during our term, we did this in order to enhance our integration. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm very much obliged, sir.
Yes, help put off the microphone. Thank you very much, Professor Kabudi. Now, honorable members, you have a feel of what is to come. Thank you.
We proceed to item number 2 on the order paper, communication from the chair.
Thank you. Honorable members, I welcome you for today's sitting here in our chambers in Arusha, Tanzania. I trust that all has been well with you since we last met in the chamber of the Zanzibar House of Representatives. We continue to pray that the coming period is even better and that we can resolve any challenges that may arise. Secondly, I received a petition from the Federation of International Women Lawyers requesting the Assembly to revive discussions, consultations, and debate on the 3 bills that were passed by third Eala, but not yet assented to by the heads of state. And these bills are the EAC Gender Equality and Development Bill 2016, the EAC Counter Trafficking in Persons Bill 2016, and the EAC Prohibition of Female Genital Mutilation Bill 2016. I refer the petition to the Committee on Legal Rules and Privileges for consideration and report therefrom. I also urge the chairperson of the Council and the CTC to update this House at an appropriate time why the bills have not yet been assented to. Thirdly, we have senior staff from Parliament of Kenya, both the National Assembly and the Senate, who are in the gallery and whom I wanted to introduce. These are Ms. Rose Netacho Kisiangani, Ms. Esther Ntikoisa, Mr. El Kinyoti, Mr. Geoffrey Maindi, Mr. Kevin Wanjala. We welcome you and we thank you for coming to grace our proceedings here. Enjoy your stay. They are here on attachment to come and observe our proceedings, and we thank them. Honorable members, some of you requested that we need to discuss some issues, some housekeeping issues, but I think the best approach is if we discuss them in an informal meeting. Therefore, we shall conduct this plenary up to 5:30. Then we shall excuse whomever we have to excuse so that we can hold our informal meeting here within the chambers. So, as we debate matters on the order paper, we'll try to be mindful of that. And just in case we have to cut it short, then those items that we have not attended to will be carried forward for the next day. And we shall beg the honorable members concerned to understand that. Last but not least, as you well know, the United Republic of Tanzania lost a very prominent person, the late Dr. Reginald Abraham Mengi, the proprietor of IPP Media House, Kwanza Coca-Cola, Kilimanjaro Drinking Water, mining companies, among others, and who was among the founders of the East African Business Council, which you know is a very important partner in our integration process. I had an opportunity to represent you at the burial. So we condole with the family and the United Republic for the loss of that very important East African. In the same vein, I also regret to inform you that Mr. Justin Bundi, who was the clerk of the second Eala and the immediate outgoing clerk of the Kenya National Assembly, also passed on. Details of the funerals will be communicated in due course. May we rise for a moment of silence in honor of these two foreign friends. May their souls rest in eternal peace. Thank you.
we proceed to item number 3 on the order papers. We start with bullet 1.
Honorable Ambassador Fatuma Danjiza.
Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay a report of the delegation to the 44th Plenary Assembly session of the SADC Parliamentary Forum in Maputo, Mozambique from the 26th November to 10th December 2018. I beg to pray.
Thank you, Honorable Ambassador Fatuma. Honorable members, you understand that those colleagues who represent us in different external engagements are supposed to compile and present a report. And according to 89 Sub-Rule 1, there can be a limited debate on reports of this nature. So given time, at the end, I may be inviting the Honorable member back to make a brief presentation of the report and for you to briefly debate it at the end, not now. Thank you.
Still on the same item, we go to the report on agriculture, tourism, and natural resources.
Honorable Chairperson, Committee on Agriculture, Tourism, and Natural Resources, Honorable Matthias Kasamba.
Right Honorable Speaker, allow me, on behalf of the Committee of Agriculture, Tourism and Natural Resources, lay on table the report of the Committee on Agriculture, Tourism and Natural Resources with stakeholders on budgetary enhancement in the agricultural sector held in the EAC partner states from 17th to 22nd March 2019. I beg to lay. Right Honorable.
Item number 4 on the order paper, motion for a resolution of the Assembly recommending to the Council to ban the manufacturing and importation of soaps and cosmetics containing hydroquinone in the community.
Honorable members, you may recall that in our sitting in Zanzibar, this item was already placed on the order paper. But because of the time constraint, we could not debate it. So I'm compelled by the rules to bring it back. Honorable Gideon Gaptan.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise to move a motion under the Article 49(2)(d) and Article 59(1) of the treaty and Rules 26 and Rule 34 of the Rule of the Procedure of the House.
Thank you. Seconders? Honorable Kim Guy, Honorable Thomas Dutt, Honorable Jean-Claude, Honorable Susan Nakauchi, and all the members standing. Honorable Gideon, can you justify the motion?
Thank you. A motion for a resolution of the House of the Assembly recommending to the Council to ban the manufacturing, importation of soaps and cosmetics containing hydroquinone in the community. Whereas the community in Article 81(2) of the treaty recognizes the significance of protecting consumers as a critical aspect of the cooperation of the partner states in standardization, quality assurance, metrology, and testing Act. Whereas one of the objectives of the EAC, Standardization, Quality Assurance, Metrology and Testing Act 2006, is to protect and improve the health and safety of consumers and the general public. And whereas this objective has not been fully realized, especially in relation to protecting East Africans from the harmful effects of hydroquinone and other skin bleaching or lightening cosmetics, which are widely imported, manufactured, and distributed within the community. Noting that whereas the Council was given power by this Assembly under Section 19 of the East African Community Standardization, Quality Assurance, Metrology and Testing Act 2006 to declare compulsory East African Community standards to protect human health and safety, and under Section 18 and 19 of the East African Community Customs Management Act 2004 to prohibit importation of specified products into the community. The Council has not used the two provisions to ban the importation, manufacture of soaps and cosmetics containing hydroquinone. Aware that hydroquinone is a common active ingredient that is found in several skincare products that are designed specifically to lighten the skin. Concerned that that hydroquinone decreases the formation of melanin in the skin, which is the pigment in skin that gives it a dark color, thereby weakening the skin and making the human body vulnerable to adverse effects to bloodstream, kidney, and the liver. Recognizing that in the absence of concerted action by the community, individual partner states like Kenya and Rwanda have joined South Africa, Ghana, and Ivory Coast by banning the importation, manufacture, and sale of products containing skin lightening agents in their countries. Aware that the effects of cosmetics containing hydroquinone are visible and widespread throughout the community and are not restricted to any individual partner state. Mindful of the commitment of partner states under Article 36(1)(a) of the Protocol on the establishment of the East African Community Common Market to protect the life, health, and safety of consumers. Recalling that in order to protect East Africans, the community has, through Section 18 and the second schedule of the East African Community Customs Management Act 2004, already prohibited the importation of all soaps and cosmetics containing mercury because of health and safety concerns. Recognizing that under Article 49(2)(d) of the treaty, one of the functions of the Assembly is to discuss all matters pertaining to the community and make recommendations to the Council. Aware that under Article 59(1) of the treaty and Rule 26(1) of the Rules of Procedure of the Assembly, any member may propose any motion or introduce any bill in the Assembly. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Assembly as follows: that in accordance with Article 49(2)(d) and Article 59(1) of the treaty and Rules of Procedure, Rule 6 and 34 of the Rules of Procedure of the Assembly, the Assembly recommends to the Council to urgently ban the manufacturing and importation of soaps and cosmetics containing hydroquinone within the community. B, urge the Council to urgently declare a compulsory East African Community Standards under Section 19 of the East African Community Standardization, Quality Assurance, Metrology and Testing Act 2006, prohibiting the manufacture, distribution, and sales of all soaps and cosmetics containing hydroquinone. Issue and publish in the Community Gazette an order under Section 19 of the East African Community Customs Management Act 2004, prohibiting the importation of all soaps and cosmetics containing hydroquinone.
Thank you, Honorable Gideon. You have presented your motion. Is there any other explanation you want to give?
Yes, just to make some emphasis, right, Honorable Speaker, hydroquinone is actually a derivative of phenol. The phenol is from benzene, from petrol. It's a crystallized white product that is very highly soluble and also combustible. So the World Health Organization, 1996, in the health safety of the World Health Organization, health safety, has mentioned about the effects of hydroquinone, which includes the skin and also causing a problem with the eye, especially affecting the conjunctiva, sometimes leading to developing corneal infection, and also you will find somebody is losing vision, and that is something we call the corneal opacity in the end. That is also repeated by the study that was done by the University of Benghazi in Libya and the University of Aden, and also University of Methodus in Macedonia. The University of Benghazi actually point out very clearly that this thing is cancerous. It causes cancer, it can cause blood poison, and also kidney problem, and then convulsion, and a lot of issues to do with the skin. Now, in our community, we have had, when I was reading my motion, that the Republic of Rwanda, Republic of Kenya, Republic of Ghana, and the Ivory Coast in Africa. South Sudan had tried in January also to intervene, but the effect in our community is so obvious. So I am moving this motion particularly to ensure that hydroquinone is as an ingredient from all the cosmetics and soaps, be isolated, banned, meaning adding it to the list of the prohibited goods in the East African community, so that we stop these adverse effects of hydroquinone. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Gideon. Honorable members, I now propose the motion. And the motion on the floor is that this Assembly do resolve to recommend to the Council of Ministers to ban the manufacturing and importation of soaps and cosmetics containing hydroquinone in the East African community. Debate is open. Honorable Mary Mugenyi, you officially sponsored the motion, so it should be first. Yes, Honorable Aden, the issue of procedure.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I think the issue raised by Honorable Gideon is important, and indeed misuse of certain otherwise dermatological medication for use as cosmetics is becoming a serious problem, and I will support in any case. But I want us to be very careful, because here we are talking of this particular hydroquinone, which Honorable Gideon says is available in almost all cosmetics as a standard ingredient in there. We've got to be very careful as an assembly to address ourselves, to pronounce ourselves, to object or to propose this kind of a ban, something that might have a very serious and large-reaching ramification with regards to the industry as a whole, the cosmetics industry as a whole. I will advise, because here you've mentioned Kenya, but you've mentioned Kenya with regards to things containing mercury, which is not what you are saying. If you are saying here that we ban mercury, then I will be fully in support of this.
Honorable Adam.
Yes.
Yes, if you can resume your seat briefly. I had a meeting with the Honorable Gideon this morning, and he was seriously convinced that we needed to debate this motion. So there are many views possibly among the members. You have your own views. So Honorable Mary will resume the floor. You will follow. So what you are raising as a point of procedure, let it be part of your substantive debate. You will follow after Honorable Mary, and then you will hear what you have to decide at the end of the day. I thought there was a procedure that may prevent us from proceeding, but if it is a substantive concern on the content, then let it be part of the debate. Thank you, Honorable Mary.
Mr. Speaker, sir, and honorable colleagues, I raised support the motion by Honorable Gideon Gatpan on the dangers of hydroquinone on the population that we represent. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is not true that hydroquinone is present in all the cosmetics. I think if the Honorable Gideon said that, that was just maybe a slide in his tongue. He was trying to be emphatic about the issue, because hydroquinone is very widely researched. You can Google it, it's on the internet, it's everywhere, it's very well written on. Hydroquinone is dangerous to our communities, to our people. And there is no doubt that by the time it was banned in many other countries who have a bigger capacity to do research, it was found to be dangerous. I'll list a few of them. Hydroquinone is banned from use in Canada, in the US, in the UK, in the whole of the European Union, in Japan, to mention but a few. And that was done after a number of tests that were done on this chemical. So this chemical is as dangerous as mercury. The only difference is that when the law was being made here, it was omitted. Mr. Speaker, sir, under normal circumstances, as a woman leader who has been a member of the women's movement, advocating for the rights of women and girls, and fighting against all forms of restrictions on women, either imposed by culture or by circumstances of one type or another, the first impression I got when the Honorable Gideon approached me about this motion was, again, you want to impose your views, your standards, your values on women. So my first reaction was not actually positive until I did more research on this chemical. And I would urge you to actually take time and do research on it. Hydroquinone is dangerous. And it is because it is dangerous that we stand here to urge this August House to list it among the chemicals to be banished from importation or production in this community. Mr. Speaker, under Article 49, Section 2D of the Treaty for the Establishment of the East African Community, we are mandated to discuss all matters pertaining to the community and make recommendations to the Council. And you can refer to the treaty, it's clearly spelled out. It is our obligation to recommend to the Council to prohibit the importation or production of hydroquinone in the East African community for the purpose of using it as a skin bleaching cream or part of it. We may then ask ourselves, how dangerous is hydroquinone? And as I said, research has repeatedly shown that when used repeatedly, it destroys the formation of melanin production. And by destroying the body cells that produces it, it exposes the skin, because the skin pigment has been eroded away. The skin pigmentation is necessary for protecting us against external dangers affecting our bodies. For example, without melanin, the person gets direct UV penetration. And this may cause severe burns, irritation to the skin, and gets worse when there is continued use on the damaged skin. Mind you, in our case, we live in the tropics where the sun is always shining. So you can imagine people without that melanin in the skin, how dangerous it is to live in the tropics. And to me, there is no doubt that nature decided to deposit us where we are in the world, and decided also to give us these darker skins, knowing that we are going to be living in the tropics. And remember, darker skinned people, when we migrate, for example, to the colder countries, unless you are taking vitamin D, you are likely to have bone issues, because your skin, which is supposed to give you the vitamin D by allowing in the sun, now even if you don't bleach it, you don't have that vitamin D that you naturally get, which we are meant to get naturally. Now, research has also shown, when tested on mice, and this was done by the US Research Center on Toxology, and discovered that the mice that whose skins, bodies were used, where they used hydroquinone, developed cancer. No wonder there are so many of our women in our cancer centers suffering from cancer and being told it's because of the use of dangerous products that are part of the creams that our women, and even men, by the way, these days, even men. Yes, there are men bleaching their skins as well. Actually, when talking to the Honorable Gideon, he told me of an example of a friend's wife who was dying in hospital because of cancer. And of course, he's seen so many, and we all have seen so many of these women in hospitals with burnt skins, with cancer of the lungs, of the liver, of the what, all sorts of complications because of bleaching your skin. So there are so many effects that I do not have to repeat because the mover has said it. So, Mr. Speaker, this August House needs to add hydroquinone to the list of dangerous substances listed under the East African Community Customs Management Act of 2004, Part 3, Section 18.1 and Section 19.1a. Hydroquinone should be limited to the use in prescription medicine by a qualified medical practitioner and not as an off-counter medicine or cream that we can easily access. I also would like to recommend that we need to sensitize our people on the dangers of bleaching the skin using these dangerous chemicals, because many of them are not aware. And it is easier to make the law and list these products, but it is more difficult to actually effect the implementation and get it to be observed. Because we have even seen in countries where it is banned, it is still flourishing. We also need to sensitize our people politically and psychologically, maybe wage a campaign against hating our own selves, whom we are, and really appreciating our nature, because there are so many positive attributes of having a dark skin. And remind you, not all cultures appreciated a light skin. If I can refer to mine, you did not have to be light-skinned in order to be beautiful, even now. You did not. So who determines what is beautiful and who looks well? Whose standards are they? Honestly, this mentality we need to deal with. Remember, honorable members, that we get so many people from the West with lighter skins, and they spend time sunbathing in the sun to get darker. And we who are naturally dark or darker, we are now trying to use dangerous chemicals to get ourselves light. Isn't that really a contradiction in life and time? Let's be comfortable with whom we are. Nature gave us these privileges. We must enjoy them with pride. We are not defined, or should never be defined, by the color of our skin, but by the content of our actions and what comes out of us. It's not how we look, it's how darker we are. Mr. Speaker, I want to end by asking this august House to support this motion and protect our people from harm. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much, Honorable Mary.
Point of order, Speaker.
Point of?
Point of order.
Order, yes. Honorable Simon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, is it in order for the member to mislead the House that the product that she's talking about, that it has been banned in Europe, in Canada, and in the US, while it is not true? The product has just been regulated. There's some regulation. You cannot buy the product on the shelf. Mr. Speaker, I think we need to make it correct that the member is misleading the House, and that I stand otherwise guided.
Okay, Honorable Simon, thank you. Can you switch off the microphone? Yes, thank you. The microphone is on. Thank you. So I think this House does not have conclusively which position is correct. So Honorable Mary has put a position as she understands it. Honorable Simon can put a position as he understands it. And at some point we shall conclude the way you want us to conclude.
Point of information, Mr. Speaker.
It should be a point of information,
yeah,
instead of it being a point of order.
Point
Mr.
of information,
Yes.
Mr. Speaker.
The two microphones are off. I think you just put on, yes. Honorable Mayor.
Mr. Speaker, I think it is on record, and the Hansard probably can help us on this. I clearly said that hydroquinone should be limited to the use in medical conditions prescribed by a medical practitioner, because that is where it is necessary, but not as an off-counter cream which can easily be accessed. That's what I said. Unless
thank you. I think that is what it means by regulation. Yes. Honorable Simon.
Mr. Speaker, I stand guided, but in this motion we should be pushing for the regulation of hydroquinone, not complete ban.
Yes, what you can do is to propose an amendment.
Yes.
Yes. You can propose an amendment, and the House will pronounce itself on that. Yes. Thank you. Now, for substantive debate, Honorable Aden, Honorable Dr. Woda, Honorable Claude, Honorable Susan.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. Honorable Speaker, let me on the onset say that the intention of this particular motion is noble. There is a serious misuse of skin lightening chemicals across the countries in our region. It is a problem. the likelihood that it will eventually become a very serious health hazard is a reality. And I think Honorable Gideon's motion is very well anchored in countering, as a responsible assembly, taking a preemptive move in the beginning to make sure that issues or situations don't get to that level. But even as we want to achieve that objective, because personally, I'm actually a serious crusader of anti-skin lightening chemicals. And I do in my own ways and efforts to discourage our sisters particularly. I am not aware of men, but Honorable Mary today has said that there are men also who use, and I accept that. I accept that there might be men. I'm just saying that I might not have been aware in the past that there are men and that who use that kind of a thing. Right, Honorable Speaker. When I was following the mover of the motion, and I think we can salvage this motion by particularly amending the title of this motion. And as I end, I will propose my amendment to this particular motion. In the form and manner in which it has been put now, even a basic search now that I have done reveals that FDA, which is the Food and Drug Agency in the US, actually says there is no harm in selling this thing over the counter. Just check it up. You have that information with you, honorable members. So, and I think they say that there are other reports or other debates surrounding this particular issue, that should a content exceeding 2% be allowed to be sold over the counter and all this. This is a debate which is out there. For us to call for a ban on that issue without clarity of experts who have analyzed this particular issue from our region, so that they can be conclusively be able to say this thing is harmful, I think is going to be premature. I think it is not going to achieve the objectives which we want to do. And Honorable Speaker, I wanted to say to Honorable Mary, it was not a slip of the tongue by Honorable Gideon when he talked about the same being in a cosmetics. It is a part of the motion that aware that the effects of the cosmetics containing these are visible and widespread throughout the community and not restricted to any individual partner states. You've mentioned time and again here that indeed this particular thing is available in cosmetics that are already on the shelves. The ban which exists now is in the EAC is with regards to mercury. And that is okay, we can understand, because research has been done by agencies within our member states with regards to mercury, and even out there in the rest of the world. And the agreement with regards to the harmfulness of mercury is very much allowed. But the fact that even if it were to be true or accurate, let me use that word, that Germany, USA, UK, European Union, and Japan are banning the use of this thing for skin lightening, I'm just asking myself, do those guys need to lighten their skins in any case? I mean, let's just ask a basic question, even if that was a reality of an issue which was to happen, because I haven't come across that particular information myself. I think what this thing calls for, what this particular debate calls for, right, Honorable Speaker, and I don't even think it is only hydroquinone. I think there are much more harmful chemicals that are being sold on the shelves to our people who are misusing it for lightening skin, which needs to be regulated. And I think we can be able to improve. I don't need to debate much more, but let me propose an amendment, an amendment, that this motion, that a motion for resolution of the Assembly recommending to Council to investigate the harmful effect of hydroquinone, and if found harmful, should recommend an immediate ban of the same in the EAC. You see, It's harmful now we are debating here. It is easy for us to debate on the harm of discoloring of the skin. There's no doubt about that one. We all know it. It's cancer causing, right? Honorable Mary has put it very eloquently to the effects of the skin issue. But Honorable Member, where I have a concern with is a blanket throwing of a ban on an item which we are generally acknowledging that it is now a content of most cosmetics is going to cause serious trade disruption. The better way to do it is for us to urge council. We've got an agency that is meant for scientific health and research, which can be able to institute this kind of research within the EAC. Let them do that research. Let them research this particular. Let this assembly recommend to council for EAC to institute an immediate investigation for this particular hydroquinone element, for our research agency to embark on it and give a recommendation to council. Then council can be able to pull, just like they have done for mercury, to be able to say, we have found this thing to be harmful, and from now on, we either control it by saying it must be prescribed by a doctor, or anything containing more than 2% of it is not allowed in the region, or we are putting a blanket ban on it. It is an informed position. But when we now ask council to ban, to recommend them to ban, on which basis will they ban? What will they be able to do? I'm just guiding the House, Honorable Speaker. I am not opposing this motion.
I think can you do the proper phrasing of your, because the way you phrased it is problematic, because you say to investigate the harmful, I think what you are looking for is an investigation, the scientific base of when a decision that can be taken. So I think you can do a proper phrasing in writing and pass it to to Honorable Gideon for consideration.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you for the guidance. I'll do my best in drafting something that I can. I support the motion in its amended version. I do not support the full way that it says banning of the manufacture of this, and that. Is it even manufactured in the EAC anywhere? The presenter should have told us this thing has been banned in this country. This is the factual information. It has been banned in this country, in that year, in this. There is this and this and that. It is manufactured in the EAC, in Kenya, or in this country by that company, or by this, by that, so that we have, or it is imported by this quantity to the EAC, so that we have factual information on which we can be able to base our recommendation. I support the motion in the amended version which I have proposed. Thank you.
And the manufacturing in that sense must be given a definition, because I'm told there are even people who do their own mixing and they come up with a product called mkorogo. Huh? So now you may not find a factory that does mkorogo, but it's a form of manufacturing. Yes, Honorable Dr. Woda.
Okay. Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. And first of all, I would like to thank the new member of the Assembly, Professor Kabudi. You're welcome. Right Honourable Speaker, I rise to support the motion. First of all, I know that there is a lot of side effect of the hydroquinone. I can list the topical side effects in severe skin redness, burning, severe skin dryness, cracking, bleeding, blisters, blue or black discoloration. Right Honourable Speaker, our young ladies in East Africa has been suffering of sometimes low self-esteem because of promoting for lighter or whiter colors through these cosmetic and lotions and soaps. And me, myself, I've been suffering most of the time, because when you go and look for the lotion or for the soap and you read the content, you will find that it's written that it's free of hydroquinone, but yet it has some level of hydroquinone. And for me, I want to agree with the Honorable Gideon that, some of the internal manufacture is going on, because some even boutique and some saloons, they do some mixture and mix up of things which they don't know the effect of these chemicals, and yet they give it to the consumers to consume it or use it on their skin, which is so dangerous. And before, As black people, we were not having cancer skins, but now it's there. And let's promote for our natural products like shea butter, which is really very good for the skin. But because we have the attraction of looking more lighter, we go for some dangerous things. And the hydroquinone also is having other internal effects, because if somebody is using hydroquinone and it's observed by their skin, it can even lead to, I don't have the statistic, but it can lead even to abortion of the small fetus. So that's another problem for using hydroquinone in the soap and in the cosmetic products. And for me, I support that even the other countries which have whiter skinned people, now they're promoting the black beauty. You find now that there are models who are really black, and they're being promoted by countries who don't have black people. And I'm proud to say that most of these black models are coming from South Sudan, my country. Yeah. So I support the motion, and I really support that for us we should do the standardization and testing of the cosmetic which comes into our countries. I beg to support.
Thank you, Dr. Woda. Honorable Claude, then Honorable Susan will follow Honorable Josephine.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I raise to support this motion. Actually, I'm informed that most of these products, cosmetics containing hydroquinone, are produced in the countries where they are banned, but they send them to Africa, knowing the consequences they can have to human being. I was analyzing this motion, and I found that when you look at it, it has some colonial linkages. The mentality we have as black people, that white color is beautiful and is better than black color, and you have been taught that an angel is white and an evil is black.
Information.
That is a reality.
Information.
And
I want to inform you.
We must fight to abolish it. Analyzing also the situation which is going on now.
Information.
Many.
I want to inform you.
I accept that information.
You take that?
I accept it.
Okay.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me the chance to inform Honorable Jean-Claude. The problem is not the product that we are banned. So many countries in East Africa has banned. But the problem, it is not the product. The problem is the attitude of the society. It is the men and the mothers of men who are making us. Once I am taken to a mother of my boyfriend for introduction to marry, that mother will say, but she's black. She'll bring ugly children. She's what? So we need first to change our attitude instead of banning. How many we will ban? Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Information.
Honorable Claude, can you continue?
I take that information also.
Honorable Claude, let's have a good flow of debate. You continue with your debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank also the honorable member for giving me that information. That is what I was saying, that it has to change from our minds.
Are you also taking information from Honorable Kennedy?
Is he ready to give information? I can take it. Okay. Thank you. When you look at those young people who are sinking in the Mediterranean Ocean, they are quitting Africa to Europe, expecting more gains or opportunities there. Analyzing that situation or those issues, you also found it that it has some colonial mentality that in the region of white people it is where we find more opportunities. Fighting this hydroquinone in cosmetics and soaps, it will also have good impact in reducing the number of those young people sinking in the Mediterranean Sea. The good information I have, recently I have read in the news that in the USA, the Miss Teen and the Miss USA 2019 are all black. And Miss America, the whole continent of America, is black. This is a signal that black is beautiful. And we do not need to bleach in order to be beautiful. We are already beautiful with our color. So despite its tremendous health impact, I mean this hydroquinone, we need also to ban these products by sensitizing our people to change their bad mentality about black color, which we were taught by the colonizers, that black means evil and white means good things. And the good approach we may use is also to, as Honorable Mary has said, we need to campaign. More than banning, we need also to campaign and sensitize our citizens in order also to change their mind, because they are somewhat traditionally produced cosmetics which contain more hydroquinone to the level which our skin cannot even bear. Right, Honorable Speaker, I stop by here supporting the motion. I beg to submit. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Honorable Claude, Honorable Susan, then Honorable Josephine. Have to look this. Honorable Kennedy, Honorable Pamela, then I will come your side.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Allow me to also congratulate the new minister, Professor Kabudi from Tanzania, and also thank the members of this August House for their hard work during the past 2 weeks, despite the financial situation of the community, which I'm sure is in the know of Council of Ministers. I'm only hesitant to say that it's deliberate. I hope Council is doing something serious about it. I'd also appreciate the mover of this motion, Honorable Gideon. Actually, it's timely. It could not come any later because the situation is getting out of hand in the East African region. Right Honorable Speaker, as you all realize, the demand for skin lightening products is growing by day in this East African community region. When you go and visit any of our 6 partner states, there are even serious advertisements on TV for products which have as high as 30% hydroquinone. In Uganda, where I come from, there is this lady who is actually becoming one of the serious billionaires in Uganda called Mama Lususu. She advertises on every television network, every radio network for those creams. She would even tell you that even for those spots that cannot brighten up, she has a dose sufficient to brighten them. And this is very worrying for our people, especially the young people in the region. I know this is one of the cheapest means for skin enhancement, since it's non-surgical in nature, so it's affordable to everyone. But our people are ignorant of the consequences of using such products rich in hydroquinone. That's why it's important for our government now to come up and get a way of regulating these products on the market, because it's in our region where any product can get access to the region, to the market, even in countries where it has been banned. Right, Honorable Speaker, I'll also add on what Honorable Mary said. Hydroquinone is not only used by women, but also men. We've seen men bleaching seriously, even more than women. Before, we used to think it's in Congo, but it has now moved from Congo to the rest of our East African countries. I've seen even senior politicians bleaching seriously. Some have turned red. They are no longer white but red because of these chemicals that we are allowing to end up in our markets. Women are now looking like apes with patches here and there. The skin pigment is actually eaten off. It's eaten off. And it's all under our watch. We're not helping our people. For them, they're using these products ignorantly. But then those of us who know the consequences should help our people at least by regulating these products on the market. Honorable members and Right Honorable Speaker, I want to appreciate the countries that have taken a step. I'm talking about the countries in the East African regions that have taken a step to ban use of hydroquinone in beauty products. Like Kenya, actually, if I'm not mistaken, Kenya banned in 1998. Yes, August 14th. Thank you, Honorable Christopher. 1998, not only hydroquinone, but hydroperoxide and mercury. They regulated it. Tanzania also banned imports into the country. Unfortunately, even in those countries where the use of those chemicals was banned, still these products find their way on the market. And the reason is because people can easily get them across the border from countries that have not banned them. Right, Honorable Speaker, I visited Juba last year, and I realized a lot needs to be done. In fact, I thank Honorable Gideon because he has originated this motion. What I saw in Juba, it was unbelievable. These beauty queens we see in those magazines from South Sudan, the dark ones, are very rare to come along right now in Juba. Maybe they are outside Juba, but the rest, you can only know that they were dark from the fingers or the toe.
Then I said, if it can manage to turn that skin in something, then it is a serious problem.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I also wanted to note the fact that the house girls, house helps, are now being victims. They are suffering consequences from their bosses. Because, for example, you find when the boss has to apply these creams, they cannot reach the back. So the house girl is called every morning to administer the back, the behind. So they have no option because this is their job. And these people have to be protected in any way possible by ensuring these products don't get their way onto the market because they cannot resist orders from their bosses. Honourable Speaker, my Honourable Aden has talked of studies, but I think that one will take a much longer period of time for us to be able to implement this motion if we go that way. A lot of studies have been done by World Health Organization. A lot of studies have been done by all our universities, even here in Africa, even in Makerere, they have done studies. Let's just use those as case studies and just implement, because here is an issue of council, making a few amendments here and there, the way council acted when it came to mercury. I know we amend the second schedule of the Customs Management Act every now and then. This year's amendments, let hydroquinone be included. In fact, I want to add that as a recommendation to urge council to amend the second schedule of the Customs Management Act to exclude cosmetics with hydroquinone to enter our markets, because at least they did that when they amended that schedule to cater for mercury. Honourable Speaker, we appreciate that hydroquinone is not only used in cosmetics, there are other uses. For example, it's used in hair colorants. Those ladies who put highlights in their hair, hydroquinone is the number one component used therein, and even for artificial nails, even for medical purposes. We can put an exception, but the principle should be for all beauty products. And also another recommendation I would like to put is for all our partner states to review the chemical ingredients in the cosmetic products regularly, because now we can say we are regulating, but they can comply for 1 year, and then for the next year they keep increasing, because you just go with your need and they'll give you the dose according to your need. It is like they're treating an ailment. So that regulation should be conducted regularly. And also, Right Honourable Speaker, as I wind up, I would also like for serious restrictions to be put in place. We should put deterrent measures, because if the penalty is small, then since this is a multi-million-dollar industry, some people might decide to go ahead and use these products even when they are banned, because the penalty attached to them is very small. So let's make the penalty as big so that it's deterrent in nature. I beg to support the motion.
So for the amendments you are proposing, please put them in writing. Next was Honourable Josephine. Then.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. I too would like to add my voice and congratulate our new member, Professor Kabudi, my teacher as well. Karibu sana. And I stand to support Honourable Gideon's motion, but with a few amendments. I'll be speaking a little bit from the perspective of health. And I think singling out hydroquinone and not looking at other ingredients. Yeah, this is the most common. Hydroquinone is the most common ingredient in skin lightening component in skin care products. But there are many other dangerous components which go to these skin creams, which are very much loved by those who want to have skin like mine. By the way, I'm not using any skin lightening product. This is the color of my skin. Saying that, I would also like to say that apart from what we've singled out here, the hydroquinone, we have quite a number of other products which are also hazardous and dangerous to people's health. These include what we put over our brows, the dark pico, they call them pico. They're very, very, very dangerous. And we have products to turn our hair into the color that we desire. We don't want to have the white hair like your wig because time has gone. So we also use the kind of products which change the color of our hair as we grow older. And they're also quite dangerous, and I've seen quite a few patients going to hospitals trying to get treatment using public funds in order to address the problems they're having. But I would like to say something which is going to maybe provoke the minds of my colleagues as well. I don't want to be stereotyping, but I would like to remind my colleagues that we have different colors of skin. Some of us have lighter skins, others have darker skins, and some of us are not even using artificial ingredients to change the color of our skins. So once we have all this beautiful light-colored skin, which attract a lot of cows from people of my neighboring districts, it is true that we attract quite a few cows from the neighbors who want to have light-skinned children like myself. We should remember some of us are not using any skin bleaching products, but we also have indigenous ways of making our skins light. Quite a number of our ethnic groups are using indigenous products to lighten their skins. I wonder, where are we going to put these products? Are we going to start regulating them, or we are not considering them under this particular motion? My take will be maybe to amend this particular motion and actually addressing artificially, chemically based or chemically inducing products which are hazardous to people's health. And in that regard, we will be continuing to treat our girls who are ready to get married to the traditional based skin improvement processes, which are not dangerous to health. So my take is taking that sociological and health-based approach to the entire issue of skin color and not using a blanket approach which is based on what we can just say to be artificial, hazardous, chemically induced, skin-altering products. And thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Josephine. Honorable Kennedy, Honorable Pamela, Honorable Fatuma, and Honorable Deng. Let me repeat the speaking order. Honorable Kennedy Mukuria, Honorable Pamela, Honorable Fatuma, Honorable Deng.
Okay, thank you, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members in the House. In fact, when I'm seeing myself on the screen when she was talking, I was not seeing myself. And I was about to think of even buying hydroquinone so that I can also improve my texture. And that's why I can say it's necessary, and therefore I will support this motion with amendments. And that my amendments could be that we need to regulate the sale of this product in the market. Of course, banning it completely, having read some literature, having read some research, says there are certain benefits that we also get from this hydroquinone. Some of us might put it little and we turn a little bit, okay? So it's okay that we regulate the quantity under which this hydroquinone is in our cosmetics. Why I say we need to regulate is because, I want to give you an example. One of my friends went for takeaway, and when he brought the takeaway, he realized the takeaway looks like a zebra. Somewhere.
What? Honorable Gideon, what is the takeaway?
Okay, what I was saying, when one of my friends went to import or went to take away some lady, when he brought the lady...
Honorable Gideon, Honorable Kennedy, can you please use parliamentary language? And the reference you have done that an parliamentary I erased from the record.
Yes. So what happened is the colors are very different. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for that. I just want to say the person has changed color severally, and that the person is not looking fine. And then I also want to give an example of where a doctor was treating a patient out of malaria. And when the doctor wanted to give injection, the part under which he's going to give the injection does not look as the other part of the body. It is darker, and the other parts are lighter. And again, if you go to my country, you find that most of the women, including some men, of course, this is caused because of competition again. Women are also competing among themselves. Lighter ones have market, and the other lighter ones maybe do not have a market. So there's also a kind of competition. Likewise, some of our men also there's also competition when it comes to the skin color. So it also caused some of us bleaching. However, my point is, bleaching in one way or the other is not permitted and is not good. But if we look at the uses of hydroquinone that are maybe medical, all right, we could amend this motion to include only regulation part of it, because we cannot ban it if we don't have scientific proof of at what quantity this is not effective in the body. We also need to look at it that banning it completely without having a substantive studies might at one point or the other threaten those traders that are trading in the commodity. So I will request the move of the motion that the motion be amended to include limitation on the use, either the percentage that the commodity is sold over the counters, or that a pure commodity, because, okay, we can ban it, but then they will say we are bringing it for medical reasons, and then it will be still there in the market, because the local manufacturing part of it is done in such a way that people just use this chemical and mix it somewhere. So you might find that the cosmetics are themselves banned, but the chemical is there in the market because it's brought for medical use. So at the end of the day, it still enters back to where it is going to be used. So I request that the motion be amended to include just a regulation, not necessarily a complete ban on the importation of hydroquinone. So I beg to support the motion with amendment.
Thank you. You draft your amendment. Honorable Gideon will take note of that. Honorable Pamela.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to add my voice in this motion. I would like to congratulate the mover of the motion because of the reasons which are being mentioned, and we are keeping on mentioning them. Mr. Speaker, we all know that the East African community, it is in a process of establishing authorities which controls the food and the drugs in some of the partner states. There are some of partner states which have the authorities which deals with all the issues about drugs, cosmetics, and food. But some of the partner states don't have. So, if one or two of the partner states is not having the authorities which deals with the controls. And we are urging the council to establish the bill which will be aiming to control these dangerous chemicals. I think we might have an idea of eradicating the dangerous chemicals, but the first thing, according to my view, and I think this will be a part of my amendment, we need to urge the council to push all the partner states which have not yet established the authorities to control all the food, drugs, and cosmetics, so that when it comes to the process of harmonization of standards, all the partner states will be speaking the same language. We know guidelines and standards from WHO. They are used by these partner states to operate their organizations, their authorities. So there is nowhere where we can have enough evidence, enough research, enough information about what we are discussing here without relying on the guidelines and the International Standards Organization. So it's our task as a House to push and to urge the Council to push the partner states to establish the authorities, and thereafter we come back again and push them to harmonize all the standards. And this is where now we shall come up with some evidence, some research and inputs to show that hydroquinone, mercury, and all other substances are dangerous, and they should be placed in a list of dangerous chemicals which are prohibited, or they should be regulated according to the East African standards. I think with these 3 reviews and 3 recommendations, I'll support the motion.
Mr. Speaker. Procedure, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Oburu. Procedure. Mr. Speaker, I hate to disrupt my sister, but there are several amendments which are being proposed here on the floor. And Mr. Speaker, Article 27 of the Rules of Procedure states that the Speaker may permit a member to move an amendment in amendment form, a motion of which notice has been given, if in the opinion of the Speaker, the amendment does not materially alter any principle embodied in the motion. Mr. Speaker, I think this should be taken into consideration by any member who is proposing an amendment. Are you moving a different motion, or you are not materially altering the substance of the motion in place? Thank you, Mr.
Speaker. Honorable Pamela, you can conclude your debate as I reflect on this intervention by Honorable Dr. Oburu. Then I will pronounce myself. Honorable Dr. Oburu, if you can switch off the microphone.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And because all the address we are making here, the members of council are here, some of contribution might not go to the amendments, but they can take them direct because they are sensitive issues, and there are issues which I think they have to work on them, because there are issues which we had deliberated them in this House, and I think they should work on them. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Pamela. It was supposed to be Honorable Fatuma, then Honorable Deng. After these 2, I will pick another speaking order.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for allowing me to speak on this motion. And Honorable Speaker, I want to also join other members in congratulating our new member who just joined us, the professor, and I wish him best of luck in this assembly. Honorable Speaker, I wish to also support the motion of which is presented to Honorable Gideon. Honorable Speaker, I think when things are very dangerous, I think it's for the legislators to protect people who are not likely to be informed.
Point of order, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Noor.
Honorable Speaker, I'm sorry, I never want to interrupt Honorable Fatuma in our contribution.
Honorable Fatuma, can you switch off the microphone and resume your seat briefly?
Honorable Speaker, I wanted to contribute to this motion, but unfortunately I don't know what the motion reads now, because this motion has been amended and amended and amended, and we never agree on which amendment to take, so that at least we can be able to substantively debate the motion as amended. So can we be able to dispose of these amendments so that we can really know what we are debating? Because are we really debating the original motion or the amendment of Honorable Member Oburu? Honorable Member, every member who stood up has just proposed amendments, but can we really have one motion so that at least we can be able to debate and dispose of this matter?
Thank you. Honorable Noor, switch off the microphone. Honorable Fatuma, you are on the floor, but let me clarify this first. First of all, starting with the Honorable Dr. Oburu's intervention, I think this is applicable on the motion that is not yet on the floor. When a notice has been given, and the mover who gave the notice wants to amend the motion that he has already submitted for consideration, but before it is on the floor. That is how I understand Rule 27. As regards Honorable Noor's intervention, I think so far we have two dominant directions. Those who are pro-banning and those who are pro-regulation. So these two are not materially contradictory. So I think we would go by our practice where the mover takes position at the end on whether he accepts the amendment or he does not accept the amendment. Then, depending on the position he takes, you vote. And it is your vote that carries the day. So I don't think we can proceed by letting the mover respond to whoever proposed the amendment. I think that is how we have always done. And yes, so basically there is no one. There has been proposed amendments that are coming through debates, and on which the mover will pronounce himself at the end. And now, whether the mover of the motion is satisfied or not, that would now be reflected in your vote, the way you decided to vote about it. Yeah. So I hope the House is guided. Honorable Fatuma, you can proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to confirm that I'm contributing to the motion, the original motion, and the current motion for the resolution of the Assembly recommending to the Council to ban the manufacturing and importation of soaps and cosmetics containing hydroquinone in the community. Honorable Speaker, that's the motion I'm contributing. Honorable Speaker, before I was interrupted, I was of the view that I think this motion, as others have suggested, I think will have given us a lot of statistics, and statistics that are reliable, statistics that are verifiable on the effects, the health effects on hydroquinone. Honorable Speaker, what right now we are debating is, we know that hydroquinone is not very palatable for the skin. Honorable Speaker, I think the issue of banning might be a hard toll, but I think regulation could be an area that we could pursue. Honorable Speaker, sometimes we propose a lot of laws, but sometimes the enforcement becomes difficult. because Kenya has enacted a law, but this act of clients under
there's no data, there's no research, there's not enough evidence, but that doesn't mean it is not happening. So I think I stand to support the motion. I think it is timely. And as Honorable Susan has said that she has been to do, but it is a huge problem. Ignorance, lack of understanding, not knowing the long-term impact. And I can assure you, in 20, 30 years of time, a lot of the people that are using this product, it will become evident. In infertility, yes, we don't have the data, but I know it is going to impact people down the road. Research and data is definitely needed. It is really also sensitizing our people to start being proud of who they are. And this is even impacting younger generation. My daughter was in a boarding school somewhere in East Africa, I'm not going to say. The biggest problem that she had was actually other African children who were saying, why are you so black? Where do you come from? These are kids, 10, 9 years old, who are so obsessed with the color of their skin. I mean, we might laugh about it, we might think that it is funny, but it is really impacting generations and generations that are going to come up always thinking that I'm not good enough. I have to look as white as possible. I have to be fair. I have to marry a girl that is light in skin so that, my kids don't have to be that dark. It is all anecdotal, Honorable Speaker, but it is a reality. And we have to start to wake up. If we don't feel that we can be proud of who we are, who's going to do it for us? Nobody. Okay, we can ban, we can regulate, but we need more sensitization that is backed up with data, not just anecdotes, backed up with serious facts of how these things can impact our health and the generations to come. I stand to support the motion, but of course banning by itself is not enough because hydroquinone goes into the manufacturing of other medication. So we can't really say to ban it. It is approved by the FDA, but they only approved 2 products that have got up to 4%, and that is for treating skin ailments. So it is a medication that is being used. It is the abuse and the excessive use that is causing the problem. But first and foremost, mental emancipation, we have to start looking inward and really promoting that you're good as you look. You don't need to change how you look, and it doesn't matter what society thinks. As long as you're comfortable who you are, then at least you're contributing to a generation that is secure in themselves. We can't always be looking outside. Whatever is done in the Western world, whatever is fairer in color, is better than what we have. So with that, I stand to support the motion, Honorable Speaker, but I think more sensitization is really needed for people to begin to understand who they are. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Deng. Honorable members, I think you understand why we are creating a lot of time on this. Because essentially this is a motion to amend a provision of the Common Market Protocol. So it's not a simple matter. We need to discuss it and exhaust it. Although I encourage members to try and be shorter in their intervention because we have other matters pending. Honorable Leontine, honorable members, I pick you according to how earlier you started trying to catch my eye. So I'm not doing it randomly. Honorable Leontine, Honorable Gabriel, Honorable Mbide, Honorable Kimugai, then I will pick another speaking order after. Are they not functional? Yes, okay.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to add my voice on this debate. And I would like as well to thank Honorable Gideon for bringing in this motion. And I would like to inform Honorable Gideon that Burundi is one of the countries which has banned the manufacturing and importation of this product. Although in Burundi, of course, I still see many women and men who bleach their skin. Yes, Right Honorable Speaker. No one ignores. All of us, it's not a secret. These products made of hydroquinone are very harmful. It is known all over. And I'd like to support the proposal made by Honorable Jean-Claude that we need to sensitize our people to let them know the harmfulness of these products in order for them to choose not to use them instead of for us to ban them, because we ban and they still use them because they have many ways of importing, of getting them. They even, as you said it, Honorable Speaker, they even make it at home. So if we teach them how bad they are, these products, I think it will be the ban can follow the sensitization. Yes, Right Honorable Speaker, Honorable Gideon put it in his motion that in countries like Ghana and Ivory Coast have led in the banning of the importation and manufacture. But most of these products you see which are on the market, they are made in Ivory Coast. Most of them, and I've been in Ivory Coast many times. You go to the market, all women are white. You look for a black like me, you'll never find all of them. I think you need to do a research in order to put in this motion information which are very short, because in Ivory Coast, they make them in an open space and they sell them in an open space. Right Honorable Speaker, I know people have choices, as my honorable sister here said that we should not choose for our population, but if they make bad choices, we help them to make good choices. We should not let them die because they don't know the harmfulness of the product that they use. In that respect, I support the motion. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Leontine. Yes, Honorable Mbide.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I equally add my voice welcoming the new member in absentia, Right Honourable Speaker. I'm also looking at this motion, Right Honourable Speaker, and I have also had the occasion to listen to a lot of my friends, also submitting to the same, supporting it with a lot of changes that are almost amounting, also bleaching it itself. Right Honourable Speaker, I can safely tell this Honourable House that for me, I'm going to oppose it. And I'll give reasons for this opposition. Because the amount of bleaching suggested towards this motion ends up making it a new one. And yet what we intend to amend is a very serious protocol. These are very serious rules and regulations. They have got people behind them. So this intended ban has got lives behind it. It has got school-going children behind it. It has got business that is supposed to be lost behind it. It has got lives behind it. So before you get to a stage of banning the importation of products, you must first of all know which products are they. What are you banning? Who is importing these products? Where? How much money is the community going to lose? Because these are treaty matters. Article 22 of the African Charter for Human and People's Rights includes economic rights as a fundamental human right. Therefore, before you ban, these are things that you must have to take into account, or else a motion of this nature remains fictitious, superficial, frivolous, and actually this cannot be tenable before this August House. I will oppose it for this reason.
It remains everything you have said, but not frivolous.
Right,
because it is properly before the House, yes.
I'm much obliged, my
right,
Honourable Speaker. So, Right Honourable Speaker, what is hydroquinone? I have taken time to look at it. Just cheaply, because there is no research attached to the report, to the motion. So generally, we have had to conduct our own research. But then the motion recommends that we actually we advise that they ban. This is called the benzene 1. It can be called diol, quinol. It is an aromatic organic compound, a type of phenol. When I was looking at it, I remember now my chemistry of the CHOs in brackets OH. These are all very serious chemicals that we studied, and I do not think we studied them as poisons. These were chemicals that are used for a lot of other things. It is a derivative of benzene. It has got a chemical formula. It has a molecular mass. It has the solubility in terms of solubility in water is also measurable. So a motion of the nature of burning must also take into account all of these before you actually consider it a motion to be passed before this August House. So, for one to ban, people have been citing a lot of examples. Ghana banned it after a research, a conclusion, and the products banned were 41. Now here, if you are to merely accept that the Council of Ministers take into account to amend a law that brings in income, a law that does each and everything to make sure our children go to school and back. First of all, if you want to fight colonialism, for me right now, Speaker, I thought, and this I'm making it lightly, if you ban colonialism, first of all, you need to know. These are colonialists that don't even give visas to our own people here. So why don't we introduce our own whites here? So right now, Speaker, if this is about whites, we are introducing our own domesticated whites by bleaching them. So let me tell you right now, Speaker, and now here I am very serious. Because among us, what we are talking about here, we are talking about people. People have bleached themselves. They are already no longer what they looked like during their childhood. Others are in villages, others are in cabinet. Right now, Speaker, even here, we can, right now, Chibeji can tell me, even in cabinet, we have those who don't look like they used to look like when they were children. So, if we want to ban, we must know what we are doing, right now, Speaker. So, there are many sources, because you want to ban the product, but now, first of all, the product itself is used for making a lot of things, including rubber. They make, of course, photographic content. Now, if you are to buy the product, you are again indirectly infringing on the manufacture of a lot of other things. If you want to, by way of omnibus, ban such importation of just that chemical, then hydroquinone exists. I have been doing some little research. It exists in wheat, in coffee, in tea, but in terms of very lesser contents. So when we want to ban, how are we going to do it? So as a parliamentary speaker, if we are to come up with a motion of this nature, we must be very mindful about what we are doing. So a motion of this nature cannot actually carry it should not be supported by this assembly. This must be retrieved, redrawn, as an advisory motion to the Prime Minister.
In order to be fair to the mover, I think his motion is about the products, not the raw material. So it can not in any way affect the manufacture of any other product that need that particular raw material. So this is just to keep the record straight. It's not intended to misguide your direction.
Yes, right now, Speaker, the reason why I brought in the materials is because even the manufacture is imported in the motion. So if you are to manufacture, you must import the raw materials. So by necessary conformity, those intending to block the importation or the manufacture must block the import of those raw materials that then have to be used for the manufacturing. That was the intent of the import of the materials, right now, Speaker. Right now, Speaker, this motion works well if it came as an advisory motion to the Council of Ministers to institute a research and a study geared towards
the region intending to have a ban or a regulation established in terms of material that can be produced, imported, or even sold containing hydroquinone. The motion as it stands right now, Speaker, is against the whole intent of integration. And if it is this House that actually emerges with it, we are going to experience a problem where now business people will begin to think that actually this House itself is only acting as a barricade, a palisade to the economic growth of the East African community.
Information.
Business.
Information. I can take it, taking the information. Thank you, Speaker. I would like to inform Honorable Mbide that all the harmful substances which might harm our community should be banned. When you talk about income, it's not cocaine, dagga, which has actual scientific proven that it can cure cancer. Was it not banned in this community? And I'm telling you, cocaine, heroin, and dagga, they can generate more income than these harmful substances. Thank you.
Yes, that was the point of information to Honorable Mbide, right?
Okay. Yes, right. Okay, right, Speaker. I wish there was such a motion for purposes of banning cocaine. I would have made a submission to which I would generally also request that such information will be brought before me. Now that we are debating something else, Speaker, I will have no right to answer my colleague on matters to do with cocaine when we are discussing hydroquinone. Speaker, as I finalize, we are talking about a very serious matter. However, I can pick from my honorable colleague the component of whether or not we are looking at economics as against the health of our own East Africans. I would shudder if that was my intent.
That was his point.
That is what I want to address. I'm picking that point right now, Speaker. I know that for it to be addressed, that would make a lot of sense if, for example, we had a report of those that have died, what they have died of, the content that has actually emanated into the said death, and therefore what should be banned that causes death. But not that which causes an economy to flourish to the extent of an assembly to come here and sit without the requirement of a Kamukunji thereafter. One needs to know that integration is a business. It is a business completely. It can be anything else, but those are imponderables. Integration is a business, and that must be respected as such. Therefore, that business has got to improve lives, it has got to improve economies, it has got to do wonders, and therefore, as wonderfully as our people are, we need to know what we are doing before we do it. Right now, Speaker, with these few words, I oppose the motion.
Thank you, Honorable Mbide. I had indicated who else?
Yes, myself.
Honorable Alak. Yes, I'm coming. Honorable Kim, then Honorable Simon. And I think after those interventions,
okay, thank you,
conclude on
Honorable
this.
Speaker. I rise to support the motion, but with some improvement. In fact, we could have reconciled our positions on this motion, but I'm seeing a deficiency in this Parliament. I'm not seeing people who are really specialized in chemistry, in geology. I had expected Honorable Pamela before to put us also in the picture because she has done some chemistry at a higher level.
Information.
Chemistry at lower levels.
Information.
But the point is, most of the people here are politicians.
Honorable,
and that's why we
are you
not
taking
reconciling.
information?
Information.
Are you taking it?
No, let her go through. No problem.
Microphone. The microphone is off.
I want wanted to give Honorable Garang information. He thinks none of us are specialists in these things, but I wanted to inform him that the reason why lawyers are called learned friends, because they're experts in all those fields. That's why when you go to court, you're able to even discuss issues of doctors and chemists and everything. So be informed, we have experts in this house.
Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Araki. You can continue.
From my honorable sister, she also claimed to be an expert also in this area. What I want to say, Right Honorable Speaker, you know, I happened to go and study some petroleum management in Norway some years back. But you will be surprised how many things are made from petroleum products. You really be frightened. A lot of things are made from petroleum products, and they are dangerous. All the plastics, all this, even some of the shoes, all that. So when it comes like this hydroquinone, if it has an element of petroleum, you would expect it can be dangerous to the skin. On issues of skin, I think we have to be serious, because it's life-threatening. It is not business as usual. So the way I see this motion, we could reconcile it that we urge the Council to ban the use of hydroquinone in soaps and cosmetics. Right? No, not the manufacturing and importation. Because if there are real useful use of this product, then they can continue manufacturing and importing it, so that it is restricted to those things. But on soap and cosmetics that are used in on the skin, I think this is where we have to agree. Leave the question of manufacturing and importation. After all, who is manufacturing it and who is importing it? You know, we are at the age of racial imperialism. At the age of racial imperialism. Those years, the colonizers came to colonize some of the countries to take the products. But now, the business that is being done is to sell some of the products. So if people of dark skin require this product for bleaching, then it is business. Why do we give them business? What's the reason that we give them business? It is because there is a real aggression on the races. You find that everything now produced, some of the modern manufacturing companies, even those, you know, all those things are made to be white. So we got to rise up that there is a real racial imperialism. And if we succumb to it on this, then you will find that it will not stop from there. They will go further than that. So I'm really trying to improve on this motion to read only motion for a resolution of the Assembly recommending to the Council to ban the use of soaps, to use the use of hydroquinone in soaps and cosmetics, but not in the manufacture and importation. So that's the improvement I want to make, Right Honourable Speaker, but otherwise I'm supporting the motion with this improvement. So thank you.
Thank you. Your microphone is on. Honourable Kim, Honourable Simon, Honourable Christopher, Honourable Sophia. Those who wanted it first. Honourable Fancy, then I will pick the rest.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. And also let me welcome Professor from the United of Tanzania. And also let me welcome also the Ramadan Mubarak for the people of the ESC. Ramadan Mubarak. Honorable Speaker, before I asked myself, because I know the women are looking for the beauty always. So I think that is the big issue, which it is in behind of the bleaching, that beauty. And even when the Honorable Mary said there are men who are using, I asked my brother Namar, are you bleaching? So he said, no, I'm not bleaching. So, but actually the big issue is our sister and mother and women are looking for the beauty. So even these ones, I fight for my wife 5 years, since 2008 until 2013. I let me in the record. And then I asked him, why you are using those cream and what and what and what. He said, you know, I cannot guarantee you. Maybe you can bring some other. So I have to keep myself so beautiful. So it is a big issue, actually. The women are looking for the beauty. It is not the men also who are to impose them that I don't want you because you are using beauty. No, because that's what the women are fighting for the beauty always. So now, right on Speaker, I will support the motions, but we need a culture that I cannot hide the cancer. What cancer will say? But I will start in my family, within my sister and my wife and my children, that they will not use or bleaching themselves because of the impact of this matter. So let us start in that level and then we move to our community. Because even we made the decision. The people who are using it is us. It is our wife, it is also the men who are using, our sister, our mother, this is very similar. So this culture, like Honorable Guy said before, we have to promote our culture that we have to use. Even we have also to support the East African hairstyle. I can't say that. East Africa, we have to use. No, we have to ban those Indian hair. Let us move. We can move to support our hair, support our black. Even I will also suggest that we should have one day, the Black Day in East Africa also, to support that scheme. So that let us return back to our really culture. So that is very important. My last point, I support the motions, and also I support that let us start from our own family to ban this bleaching thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Kim. Honorable Saman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. First, I'd like to welcome and congratulate Professor Kabudi for his appointment in this August House. And secondly, I want to support this motion, but with the amendment. And a lot of amendments, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have gone through the hydroquinone, and through my small research that I have done, I have seen that hydroquinone is a crystalline compound made by reduction of benzoquinone. And through the research that I have done, I've seen that quinones are a class of organic compounds that are formally derived from aromatic compounds. And basically, this is a very, very, very broad product. Quinones are quite broad in terms of the products that are that have that chemical compound. Mr. Speaker, there are quinones which also come from plants, and in Tanzania here they have something that they call mkorogo, which is also a form of quinone, and it is used also for skin bleaching, and it is natural. So those people who produce that mkorogo, how do you ban? And it is a form of employment to those small guys down there. How do you ban the mkorogo? So, Mr. Speaker, we need to tread carefully on banning the hydroquinone, Mr. Speaker, because quinones are found in a lot of products. They are found in soaps, as he says. They are found in a lot of, in food also. I've seen, as my brother Mbide said, it is found in wheat and in coffee. So it is, the quinones are found in a lot of products. So, Mr. Speaker, we have to draw the line, and also on the people who also want to use it. You've seen there's the rise in plastic surgeries. You cannot control the people who want to do the plastic surgeries. There are some people who want big boobs. There are some people who want big behinds. You cannot control that. Mr. Speaker, you cannot control the color of somebody's body. You cannot control. So we have to have a choice. The FDA in America, Mr. Speaker, they gave a choice. They said that if you want to buy any product that has hydroquinone, you go to a doctor, you get a prescription, and you go and buy. In Canada, the same. In Europe, the same. So, Mr. Speaker, we cannot give a blanket ban.
Information, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Mary, take me?
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, the research that I did, and I think we need to compare notes, about those countries that have banned or prohibited or limited the use of hydroquinone, including Canada, UK that you have mentioned, we are only limiting it to 2%. At least that's what it says, 2%. But here we are saying there is no limitation. Creams have a content of hydroquinone that goes up to even 30%. So something needs to be done.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I stand guided. But also, Mr. Speaker, as I'm putting it out clearly, that the doctor is the one who needs to come up with a prescription. He looks at you, he says, this guy, he needs 30%. He injects you 30%. Mr. Speaker, it is according to how black you are. Maybe Kennedy will need maybe 40%. So it will be up to the doctor to give a prescription. So that is why I'm insisting that we should not ban the product, but the product should be regulated, and we have some form of control through prescription, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I don't think I'll have much, because a lot of the points that I had have been said, but I want to support this motion through that amendment, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Simon. Honorable Chris, then I'll come back to you.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I also support this motion with amendment. My amendment will be, if this product are going to be banned, they should also add the injection, lighting skin injection, because that also is a part of this kind of product. Mr. Speaker, sir, I think this problem we are facing here of our sister and the fellow brothers who want to look like a white man or white woman is a self-hate. You know, I remember one of our black brother in America, the pop star Michael Jackson, who wanted to look like a white man and hate his family, where he ended. One of my fellow honorable member here, he said that there's no evidence of the casualty of this kind of product. Michael Jackson is one of them. And to those who know a famous musician from DRC, the nomad call him General de Fao, you can see the impact of this product. So now, if you urge the council to speed up this ban of this product, which is my proposal will be like the Ministry of Socio or Youth must propose a program which will be like educating our people to start loving themselves. Because as my colleagues have mentioned, black is not a sin. Actually, although some of our fellow brothers and sisters are hating themselves, you know, you can imagine a white man or woman come from Europe to seek a sun on the beach somewhere in Zanzibar so that he can get that dark skin. But for us, which we are given freely, we want to remove it. So I think it's time for us black to start to rebranding ourselves and to reposition, to remove this perception that we are, once you are black, you are actually ugly or you are not a human. Now, the education must start from our community, where we come from, especially since it's become a trend that lighting your skin, you'll be more like beautiful, or you'll be look like you are the best human being ever created. These things have to go beyond the churches, the civic society, in order to teach our people. Because the implication is too big. We have seen people who are really, when they reach the old age, how they become. They lose that even if you can put the whole bottle per day, it won't even have an impact on you. Your skin becomes so loosey and become too old while you are still young. Therefore, Speaker, I support this motion with my amendment to add an injection for the skin lightening. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Christopher. Honorable Sophia.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, to give me this chance to add my voice to this motion raised by Honorable Jidon. First of all, my position on this issue is that the importation of this hydroquinone products, which are used, the importation of this hydroquinone product, which are used just only for becoming bright, for becoming more clear, has to be banned, except only those products which are prescribed by a doctor for health reasons. The other thing I can say on this motion is that, as far as I'm concerned, the main objective of using this hydroquinone product for men, or even for women, even for men, as Honorable Susan has already said, that there are even men